Hey, welcome back. I'm Jana from Purl Together, and in this week's video, we're going to talk about picking up for the button band on both sides and knitting the band with the button holes. So I'm going to show you how I did that. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. You can see my little holes here. I need to weave in my ends and then block it. And I'm in process of choosing buttons. I'm not sure if I want wood or I want like Celtic silver buttons would look nice. I don't know. So I'm really happy so far with how this has turned out. All this is going to open up lovely when I block it. So let's get to it and I'll show you how I picked up for the button bands. All right, so now we're going to knit the button band and we're going to start on the front left. So this was the neckline we did before and we're going to begin at the top. Now the designer recommends that we pick up 2 stitches for every 3 neckline stitches. So we're going to go right in at the very top like this. Let me zoom in for you a little bit. We're doing this on the front left. So as if this is the left side of the cardigan, if you are wearing it, I suppose you could do it the other side if you prefer your buttons to be reversed. I'm just doing what the pattern says because it doesn't really bother me either way what side the buttons are on. Some people have strong preferences though, so you do whatever you would like. The function of the sweater is up to you. So, all right, so I'm just going to go into this very first stitch and I'm holding this. I'm just holding this behind and I'm knitting right into that very first, underneath the legs of those very first stitches. So if you look on the very edge, make sure that everything, you're going to have to kind of continually roll this. It wants to curl, so just continually roll this back and knit right into that. So that's 2, then I'm going to skip 1 and knit, pick up 2, skip 1, and so forth. Now, as she mentions, the exact stitch count is not super important as long as you end and you have an odd number. So again, I'm going to skip the next. I'm going to use the other end of my needle to point with. I'll show you my thoughts on this. I'm going to skip this one here and I'm going to go into this one. Okay. And this doesn't have to be perfect, but do make sure you maintain a little bit of tension. I'm just kind of hanging on to the back tail so I can maintain some tension. And then obviously we're going to secure the ends later. So 2, do 2, skip 1, 2, skip 1. Okay. And I'm going to do that all the way down to the very end. Okay, so I've picked up pairs of stitches all the way down and, picked up 2, skipped 1, etc. So I know that I have pairs all the way down. I'm going to count them anyway just to make sure that I'm ending on an odd number. Then I have a little tip for you that will help keep the bottom edge of your sweater square rather than having a swoosh. Patty Lyons has some really good tips, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. So let me count these. Okay, for my size, I have 96 stitches, but I'm going to pick up an extra one right down here at the bottom. So you see I have all these pairs, where I picked up 2, skipped 1, picked up 2, skip 1. Then you'll notice at the end I have 3, which is perfect. So here's why. Often, stockinette stitch always wants to roll. Everything wants to roll, right? You notice that how this rolls inward. So if we don't pick up an extra one here, what's going to happen is it's going to want to roll up and it'll create a whoop-dee, where instead of having a nice square edge, we'll have the bottom edge coming across here and then it'll go whoop and make kind of a little hump. So we don't want that. So to avoid that, pick up an extra stitch down here, which in my case also is an odd number. So that's a handy thing. Now I'm just going to start knitting my 1x1 ribbing. And by the way, I also neglected to mention you should be doing this with these smaller gauge needles. So my sweater is knitted in a 7. I'm using my 5 to do my button band ribbing, just like we did up here at the neckline. All right, so the designer doesn't specifically say how to do this ribbing, but I'm going to show you what I am choosing to do. Since I'm starting, I picked up from top to bottom, and I'm starting my ribbing at the bottom. I want to have my knits on the right side, so I'm going to start out doing a purl 3, then knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, all the way back up. So we're going to do this for 10 rows. Okay, I finished my 10 rows of the button band on the front left. I bound off in pattern just like we did at the bottom of the sweater. Now we're going to pick up the stitches along the front right edge, which I've already done. I just did it the same way. I picked up 2, skipped 1, picked up 2, skipped 1. What I wanted to talk about here is we need to place some markers and determine where you want your buttonholes to be. So if you read the instructions, she mentions to put markers about 1 inch from the bottom and then just below the neckline, which I've done here, which to me ends up being about 1 inch from each end. I put the markers after I had already picked up, and then I just use these pear-shaped coilless safety pin ones to go around the cable of my circular needle. So the way I went about it, though, is I did the bottom one and the top one. Then I measured. I just took a fabric tape measure and I measured the distance between those 2 markers and then divided that to decide where to put my other 5 markers. And that seems to have worked pretty well. But what I'm going to do now is just simply knit some more rows of ribbing, same as we did before, and then follow the instructions for the buttonholes, which is really simple, just the knit 2 together and yarn over to make your buttonholes. So I'm going to go ahead and work through that, and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm finished. I'm really happy with how this turned out. All I need to do now is weave in some ends, like here where I joined skeins. And then I'm going to give it a good block to open up the lace, and it's lovely. I'm really happy with this. I think it's going to look great with just a little white t-shirt underneath it, or black. Yeah. But that's going to be fantastic with all that lace opens up. I'm really pleased with how that's turned out. So next week, we'll talk about sewing on the buttons, and hopefully I will find some on Amazon that I like. I don't think I have any buttons in my little button container. That I don't have 7 of them anyway. Pretty sure I don't have that many. So I'm going to need to order some buttons. So I will block it, weave in the ends and block it. And if you haven't blocked a garment before, I'll put a link to a video down below on how to do that. Basically, you're just going to give it a good soak, let it bubble for, 20 minutes. Use some soak or wool wash if you want to. I usually don't, but you can. And then just press it out flat and it will bloom and it'll be lovely. So I'm going to do that, weave in the ends, and next week we'll talk about sewing on the buttons. There's a couple different methods, so you can choose whatever you like. But if you want to wait and do it together, that's okay too. If not, go for it. The other thing I want to mention is people are posting their finished objects in the Purl Together Ravelry group. If you share on Instagram, tag me. This week I'm going to be picking out a little prize package and putting that up for finished objects, and we'll just do a drawing. So that'll be cool. But I would love to see your sweaters. I would love to see you wearing your sweaters. I know that it's hot in some areas of the country already, but yeah, take a picture, put it on for like 30 seconds, take a picture, and then tag me on Instagram or Facebook, or post in the Ravelry group if you'd like to be entered in the finished object drawing. Okay, thanks for knitting along with me. This has been a fantastic project. If you have suggestions for our next knit along, feel free to drop a comment down below. As always, all the links to everything we talk about are down below in the video description. Thanks for watching.